Hello there and welcome to part 3 of this 9-part series on backpacking. And in this part I will talk about the footwear. So if you're gonna go out on a hike during the warm period of the year and you're not carrying too heavy a load, then I would definitely prefer something like this. This is just trail runners. I run in these as well. They're very comfortable to wear, and they're not waterproof at all. So I will get wet if it's moist in the terrain, but it's kind of part of the technique, just accepting getting wet, and then you can dry up when you get in the tent or when you get back home or get to the hut or where you're going. So trail runners is definitely a good choice if you're not carrying too heavy and you don't need a lot of ankle support. So if I'm carrying a heavier backpack, then I would probably need a little bit of ankle support, especially if it's a rocky terrain with hard surfaces. Then I would need a little more toe protection as well. Then I would choose something like this. This is light hiking boots. They are Gore-Tex, so they are waterproof, at least to a certain degree. So it is a meshy material, so they will get wet at one point. So Gore-Tex is only waterproof to a certain degree, is my experience at least. But they are very comfortable and they are very light and nice to wear. So I actually use these for most hikes in the mountains. If I'm going to go to if I'm carrying a very heavy load, or if it's the cold period of the year, or if I'm going into a very moist terrain, then I do have these boots here. They are pretty roomy, so there's room for an extra pair of socks. And as you can see, the bottom part here, the black part of the boot, is completely rubberized. So no water gets through that part. But they don't breathe either at all. So you will get wet from sweat, but you won't get wet from the outside at least. So that's basically what I use and I think is enough to cover a wide spectrum of terrain and temperatures. And then I will give you just a few tips. If it's cold and you don't want to get the cold feet, I can highly recommend using woolen soles. So what you do is that you take out the sole that comes with the footwear when you buy it, and then you exchange it for these woolen soles, and they are just nice and soft, and they are even pretty warm when they get wet. So even if it's wet in the terrain, you will stay pretty comfortable and warm if you have the woolen soles. So that's a really good trick, I think. And then I'll give you one more tip. If you are bothered with getting blisters and you are wearing thick hiking socks, then I think instead of having thick hiking socks, you can have 2 thin pairs on. So what happens is that instead of the friction from the thick sock being against the skin on the foot, which can create a hot spot and maybe a blister over time, then if you have 2 pair of socks, then some of that friction will be between the socks, and that will save or protect the skin to some degree at least. You can always get blisters, but this is wearing thin socks is at least gives you some protection against getting blisters. And if it's very wet in the terrain, if it's been raining or it's just a boggy area, then having a pair of gaiters can be really nice. So a gaiter is simply just a piece of material that you wrap around your lower leg. This is Gore-Tex, I think. So this should be waterproof, at least to some degree. And there's a strap that you can tie under your boot or your shoe. And that will protect your lower leg from getting wet and hinder water in getting into the boot, at least from above. It also gives you, it's an extra layer of insulation, so if it's cold, then you'll stay warmer if you wear a pair of gaiters. Okay, I think that's it. So thank you for watching, and I hope you will see the next part in this series, and that will be on clothing.